I'm sitting here today with my guest, Jane O'Malley. Now, Jane is an icon in the Medicare space. I've heard about Jane before we ever met. We have a mutual acquaintance, David Gusson, and when he found out that I was in the Medicare industry, he said, "Oh my God, you have to speak with Jane O'Malley. She does what you do." And generally when people say that, right, you're like, yeah, everybody says that. But Jane is truly, truly a Medicare icon. So I want to welcome Jane to the show. Jane, say hello.
Hello, I'm Jane O'Malley. Thank you so much for inviting me. And yes, we did meet through David's group and also through National Aging in Place Council, which is, and I'm very happy with that group because we are, as Medicare agents, we're a resource for them, and National Aging in Place Council provides that.
How did you get into Medicare?
How many hours do you have? Yeah, I have a very long, I'm very eclectic.
Okay.
But I'll be as brief as I can.
What was your motivating factor?
Yeah, well, I mean, I started out as a music teacher, and then I ran a group home for emotionally disturbed girls for 10 years, and then I eventually got into the insurance business in 1997. And I was with a group that did employer enrollments for things. And so I traveled everywhere. I did like 40,000 miles a year.
Wow.
And we would go to an event or to a facility, set up, and it was through the Savings Bonds program.
Okay.
And we had a life insurance piece that attached to it.
Oh, wow.
So for $5 a week or $7 a week, you could put that in your deduction as the employer. And if anything happened to you, then obviously the insurance would pay out. If you lived, then whatever the cash value was yours. So it was a great gig. And then the government decided in, 2010, that they weren't going to do this anymore. So that, I lost my whole book of business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
How did you recover from that?
I was tough,
Okay.
because I had to figure out what to do. I did a little bit of final expense. It was okay. And then I was with another group that was doing a lot of virtual stuff. And in New York, the insurance department is very strict.
Very strict.
So what was going on all over the country was not going on in New York. And I was figuring, well, the people that are making money in this business are working in their own neighborhood, basically. And I'm going, I can't work in my own neighborhood.
Especially virtually.
Yeah.
In New York, virtual just doesn't work.
Exactly.
Most of the insurance companies, the final expense insurance companies, require you to submit a paper app. There's very few that do electronic apps,
Right.
and very few that allow you to do a
Especially-
telephonic interview.
Right.
Yes.
So I got an invitation, I guess in the mail or through email, I don't remember, for a Medicare luncheon and whatever, and I went. It was a huge, it was on like a convention. I mean, there were hundreds of people there. And I was online to get lunch, and this girl came up to me and she said, "You're Jane, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, she worked with me, so she had come maybe going to do the bond program.
Okay.
So that's how she remembered me. And she said, "You have to come to this organization because you're exactly right for it."
And it's funny because I've never looked at you like a competitor. So I respect you and I promote you. I really do. And if I didn't do Medicare, I would have my parents sit down with you. That's how much I trust you.
Thank you.
So there are a lot of changes going on this year with Medicare. I know everybody hears Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, and there's a lot of components to it, but a big component of it is Medicare. What are your thoughts, and what are some of those, components regarding Medicare and the Inflation Reduction Act, and what are your thoughts?
Well, initially, I thought, oh, this might help a lot of people. And it will help several people. But as one person said to me one time, you're plugging up a hole, but you're creating a waterfall. And that's kind of the concept.
Without question, that's a great analogy.
because we are helping those that are on large costing drugs. Diabetics, some of these heart medications.
Some asthma medications, yeah.
Asthmatic medications. People are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So for those people, this is going to be a very big help to them, because it is going to create a max out-of-pocket of $2,000 for every single person.
What was the max out-of-pocket? I mean, I know the answer, but what was the max out-of-pocket?
It varied.
No, what was it prior to this bill that was passed?
Most of them were what, 5,900, up in that area.
Yeah.
And it was a matter of like, well, how do we get past this? And so we'd be creative and trying to find ways through manufacturers or through drug companies or trying to get help for these people. And some people ended up not taking the medication because they couldn't afford it. So for this group of people, it's going to be a help. Okay. For everybody else, it's not going to be a help, because everybody else is now going to pay more for premium. They're also going to pay more for the tiers of drugs. If you were getting a cost at $0, it might be $2, $6,
So the co-payments are going up.
So the co-payments are going up. The co-insurance now is on more tiers. So for the rest of the Medicare clientele, they are going to pay more. And they don't realize it yet.
No, people don't realize it yet. So they lowered the max out-of-pocket to $2,000 a year. So now the insurance companies are now leaving thousands of dollars on the table.
And they're not going to go broke.
They're not going to go broke. They're raising the premiums. Some insurance companies even cut broker commissions out, where we don't get a commission now when we write a drug plan.
Correct.
They're raising co-payments, co-insurance. But what I don't like is they're playing around with formularies now, right? So for instance, let's say you're on Eliquis and you were on a drug plan A, let's just say. And Eliquis is not now in the formulary for drug plan A. That Eliquis is not going to count towards your max out of pocket, right?
Right.
So that's why it's so important for people to sit down with Jane, myself, to kind of guide them through that, because it's super important that all of your medications, or most of them, I think it's going to be almost impossible that some people have all of their medications on fall into formularies. I mean, we struggled in past years, but now it's going to, I think it's going to be even more of a struggle.
I just had a client last week who needed an Advair, and so I was doing the research for him. Not one carrier, not one, had Advair in the formulary.
So it's...
Not one.
I know.
Advair is a drug that's been around forever.
So now this drug's obviously not going to count towards their max out of pocket, which in years past, if you paid for it, it counted towards your max out of pocket, correct? Now there's this rule or this stipulation that if it's not in the formulary, it doesn't count as you. So I feel like this bill, even though it was supposed to be a good thing, is not going to be such a good thing, because so many seniors that you and I sit down with, sometimes I kid around with people. They come to me and it's like the Torah. It's like a scroll of medication, and I get a pit in my stomach because right away and I didn't even sit down with my clients yet, because we don't really know what's on what until October, and my phone is ringing. I'm sure yours. People are concerned, and if people aren't concerned, I feel like they really don't know the severity of the situation.
No. I've been sending, emails out and so on and so forth, and they're going, "Oh, I'm all good." No, we're still going to talk.
Well, because in years past, I've had clients say, no, I'm happy with my plan. I don't want to switch. I want to stay, without even having a discussion with me about other plans. But now we really have to be adamant about sitting down with all of our clients and making sure that that drug plan or that Medicare Advantage plan is the right one for them. It's super important, right?
Absolutely.
You think it could be like a mixed thing, like possibly good, possibly bad? I think it's going to be more negative than anything.
There's a lot of opportunity. I appreciate that thought, But for us who are retaining our book of business, it's going to be miserable.
Okay. And just another thing, CMS just passed a new rule against lower income individuals. How do you think that's going to affect the Medicare space?
I don't know, because I've had so many clients who are having such a hard time just figuring out and getting the application and trying to get the low income subsidy. And if they would make that process easier, it might be an okay thing. I don't know. What do you think about it?
So, I always tell this story. It was my wife's birthday. I went to the nail salon with her. We got a mani-pedi. My wife got a gel manicure, so I had to sit there a little bit longer than I wanted to.
Yeah.
We were there about an hour, and they had Channel 12 News up, which is a local news station in our area. And there was 14 Medicare commercials. It wasn't an election period. It wasn't annual enrollment. It wasn't open enrollment. And every commercial, they were all carrier commercials, because now those Joe Namath and J.J. Walker commercials, they're not allowed anymore. So now they're all carrier commercials. They're from trusted carriers, big name carriers, and they're waving shiny objects in front of the viewers, right?
The viewers don't see that it's basically geared toward those that are on Medicaid.
Yes, lower income.
Yeah.
So now CMS passed this rule that we used to be able to, if we sat with a lower income individual and it wasn't the right plan for them, we could switch them once a quarter. So if they were unhappy, we were able to switch them into the right plan for them. And let's face it, a lot of these individuals and these members, they're watching television. They're getting enticed by these shiny objects. They're calling the 800 numbers, right? So when they call that 800 number for insurance company A, insurance company A is going to gear them towards insurance company A, right? They're not going to weigh out all of their options. So lower income individuals were being switched quite often, and they were calling these 800 numbers. Now CMS said they cannot switch now. It's not just because they're on a low income subsidy, they're not able to switch once a quarter. They can only switch during an election period. So I think it's a good thing, because now this demographic is not going to be targeted. And I was a little upset at first, and then I had to really sit back and think about it, because
I'm not upset at all.
well, I'm happy about it because they're not going to be targeted. But I was happy that I was able to sit down with this demographic and help them find the right plan throughout the year. So I was a little upset about that. But then I started thinking about it. I said, wait a minute, now they're not going to be targeted as much as they were. So I think it's a good thing.
Anybody that I have had on, or do have, on a dual type plan, whatever their level is, has not switched. Because the important thing is, what are we looking for? Are you keeping your doctors? Are we covering the medication? Do you need special help with whatever? If we can, get into that plan that will help them the most, and you stress that, they stay. There's very little disruption for them.
Well, and that's the beauty of working with somebody like yourself or myself, is we sit down and we do
The work.
We do the work. We
You
do
have
the
to do
right
the
thing
work.
for our clients, and they see that, and they're loyal to us, and they know that they're on the right plan, and they're not enticed by these commercials waving the shiny objects. So that's the beauty of it. But for most people, they call these 800 numbers, and that's where they get their information from, and it's a lot of misinformation.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
And I know, caring for my grandmother, when I would sit with her and spend time with her, and she had daytime television on, it was one commercial after another commercial. And then so many seniors that I sit with, they call these numbers, and they're given misinformation, and people don't realize that's why it's so important to sit down with yourself or someone like you, myself, and really guide them in the right direction.
They'll call me. People that aren't on low income, and they see it as well.
Yeah.
How come I can't
creates a lot of confusion.
Yeah, how come I can't get it? Well, because you don't qualify. Or the mail. The mail is
my
just
goodness.
as bad.
Yes.
It's coming from Medicare. No, it's not. You know, should I keep it? No, you don't. Do I need to call the number? No, you don't. You know, I had one woman call me, she was a referral. She said, my couch is covered with mail, piles of Medicare stuff. I got all her information, I did the thing, I relaxed her, we went through the whole thing, we got her on a plan. She's like, oh my God, I never realized this could be so easy. I said, take your stuff on the couch. I told her what to keep, 2 things, throw it all in the garbage. She said, you don't know how much that lifted my life that day.
Unfortunately, the public is confused by all the commercials, all the mailings, and it does create confusion. And then they end up making decisions based on fear,
Yeah.
not on knowledge. And that's really why I started doing what I was doing, because I wanted to empower people with knowledge so they can make educated decisions. And an example of it was, I do seminars monthly. I had someone come to one of my seminars, an educated man, college professor, New York City college professor. Nice ship for life, really. So he called me, made an appointment. He said, I'm so confused, I don't know what plan to pick. I said, just bring what you have to my office, bring a list of your medications, and we'll sit down and we'll figure out what's going on. I forgot that he was a professor. And we sat down and I said, what do you do now for health insurance? He said, oh, I'm a teacher, I'm a professor for the city of New York. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, what do you mean? I said, what is your retirement package? And he said, oh, I have health insurance for life. We don't have to pick a plan. So here's an educated college professor, and he brought shopping bags full of mail. Oh, that was a funny thing. He walked into my office, he had 2 shopping bags and a box under his arm. I said, what is this? He said, this is the mail, and this is my meds in my box. This is my arm. So I told him, block any unknown callers on your cell phone, throw any mail that you get in the garbage, because it's just a bunch of misinformation created just to create confusion for you.
Yeah, exactly. All they want you to do is call, and they'll say, oh, well, you don't qualify for that plan, but we've got this.
Older clients, they answer the phone, people pose that they're from Medicare, and they say, oh, did you know about this plan? Are you getting this benefit? And then, yes, 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 could you verify your Medicare number? And then next thing you know, they're switched into another plan, and once they switch, they've given up their retirement benefit. What is your approach? You sit down with a client, it's a first-time client, they're turning 65. What is your approach? What sets you apart from every other Medicare agent? And you and I know a few others that are different. They don't do what we do. So how do you handle a new client or someone new to Medicare? How do you make sure that they're making the right decision?
I'm a senior, and I know what seniors go through for a lot of things, not just health insurance. So it's important for me to make sure that this is one of the things that they're going to be comfortable with. And I don't say, oh, you know what, Joan, you have to be on this plan. No. I'm going, okay, this is your information. This is where we fall. One of these plans has one doctor that's not in network. We go through all of that discussion. I give them basically 2 or 3 options and have them, go through the whole thing, and they choose. No, you tell me what. No, I am not telling you what. You tell me where you feel most comfortable. If you have to change one doctor, is that comfortable for you? We will come to a comfort level that you can deal with.
So it's a comprehensive approach.
Yeah.
And you don't just...
I feel responsible for them.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you don't just work with Medicare Advantage plans, you work with supplement plans,
absolutely.
Medicare Advantage plans, and prescription drug plans, right? Okay, so you're able to give them a view of both avenues of Medicare, whether it's a supplement with a drug plan or Medicare Advantage plan.
And I go through the A, B, the A and the B, and then your options before we even have the discussion about particular carriers.
Of course.
I
And
call
you
it Medicare Basics, and I send it to them, and then we go over it. So,
And then you have 2 roads that you could fork off to, whether it's a Medicare supplement plan with a prescription drug plan or a Medicare. And there's no right or wrong plan.
No.
People hear a lot of bad things about Medicare Advantage plans, and I said that may not be the case. It just may be that the person you're hearing it from wasn't put on the right plan. So you can't go by what other people are saying. There's no cookie cutter Medicare
Right.
Outline. It's everybody is different, and everybody has different priorities. That's
Right.
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. How can my listeners get in touch with you if they wanted to sit down and speak with you?
You can always find me. I think probably Jane O'Malley Insurance would be the easiest way.
Okay.
It has my phone number there. It has my email there. It will come in to my email and say that somebody has contacted me, and then I'll get back to them.
So again, if you wanted to get in touch with Jane, JaneO'MalleyInsurance.com. I trust her, so if you don't want to work with me, give Jane a shout. Jane, thank you so much for your
You're very
insight and
welcome.
for your story. I really appreciate
You're
you
very
sharing.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course,
It was a
my
pleasure.
pleasure.